Assalamu alaikum, my dear students. I expect that you are all fine and healthy. Without wasting your time, I know that you are preparing for the upcoming exams and you are getting ready for the career. Okay, so let's get started. This is Roxana Parveen, Senior Lecturer, Department of Biology, Milestone College. Came here to take the online class today from chapter 11. Okay, and from this chapter previously you got to know the detail about the genes and heredity, the factors, the different definitions like locus, homozygous, heterozygous characteristics, homologous chromosomes, and many things more, right? Next you got to know the Mendel's two laws with their deviations. Then you got the class from genetic disorder. You know, genetic disorder can be categorized into two groups. One is autosomal, another is sex chromosomal. This class would be for sex chromosomal disorder, which is called DMD or Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Additionally, we'll get to know the detail about blood grouping and rhesus factors with their associated complexities. So let's get started. Today's topics are muscular dystrophy, ABO blood grouping, and rhesus factor. After finishing the topics, we'll get to know the details about the DMD or Duchenne muscular dystrophy, including its genetics, symptoms and complexities, ABO blood grouping and reasons behind this. Finally, we'll get to know the rhesus factors, its genetic explanation, formulation and health issues. Let's go to the main concept of Duchenne muscular dystrophy. This is the genetic disorder which is characterized by progressive muscular degeneration and weakness due to the alterations of a protein called dystrophin that helps keeping muscle cells intact. DMD is one of the four conditions known as dystrophinopathies where it occurs. Duchenne muscular dystrophy was discovered by the French neurologist Guillaume Benjamin Ahmed Duchenne. This disease affects the muscles, leading to the muscle wasting that gets worse over time. DMD occurs primarily in males, though in rare cases it may affect females also. The following list includes the most common signs and symptoms in people with Duchenne muscular dystrophy. These features may include delayed motor development like talking longer than learn to sit, stand or walk, enlarged calf muscles, muscle weakness that gets worse over time, toe walking, using hands to get up off the ground, progressive enlargement of the heart, which may hinder the normal heartbeat followed by heart attack or cardiac collapse. This is the basic symptoms or basic places over the boy, as it's showing that at this case, heart is getting interrupted by the delayed heart functions. Okay, then heart failure occurs. Then weak diaphragm functions, as we know that diaphragm is very important muscle for respiration, right? So weak diaphragm muscle leads to respiratory or breathing failure. Then finally, in the muscles at the leg position, when the muscle is actually the kind of deformities along with loss of muscle mass, inflammation and fibrosis. Let me tell you what is fibrosis. Fibrosis is a condition when the muscle fibers gradually are replaced by some fibrous substances and fat. That's why the normal structure of muscle is not formed. As a result, requires the wheelchair. Okay, so these are the principal symptoms and the conditions of the disease. Here is the anatomical explanation. As you see, the muscle fibers are here. The DNA formation during the muscle fiber formation in between the ages 4 and 5 during childhood in boys. Mostly what happens, this dystrophin, this yellow colored dystrophin, this is the very important chemical which helps to bind out the muscle fibers and form the voluntary or involuntary muscle fibers in a perfect position. As you see, during Duchenne muscular dystrophy, this dystrophin cannot be formed properly or may be replaced by other chemicals. As a result, muscle fibers get some sort of deformities like weakness or other malfunctions which cannot coordinate with the nervous system. Well, here is the sex-linked recessive inheritance or X-linked recessive inheritance. In children, you can see that unaffected female is like this, but unaffected mother if it is a carrier mother, and this is the unaffected father. The female would be the carrier female, that means the daughter would be carrier, but the son would be affected, because in between X and X chromosomes, when this defected gene resides any one of them, this becomes the carrier. But when the X chromosome carries of the XY chromosomes in males or sons, the male remain affected. As you can see, let's come to the genetic explanation of DMD. Parental phenotypes are of, if normal male with a carrier female of DMD, the parental genotypes would be like that, because if this is the only carrier, then only one X chromosome will carry the problematic gene. Okay, now when gametes are formed, there are 4 gametes which afterwards, after fertilization in F1 generation, the genotypes would be like this. As a result, this one is the carrier daughter, this one is the normal daughter with the DMD son and normal son. You see that no male parent will, is affected, but due to the carrier female, the sons are affected. The disease can be diagnosed in young boys based on clinical examination, signs and symptoms, family history, and may be confirmed by the results of genetic testing. A muscular biopsy may be done to remove a small piece of muscle for examination under a microscope. Blood tests looking for increased levels of certain special proteins called muscle enzymes are used to check for muscle damage. How it can be cured? Sadly, there is no known cure for Duchenne muscular dystrophy. Treatment is focused on managing the symptoms of DMD and related complications caused by severe progressive muscle weakness and loss. Here you go for the next topic, ABO blood grouping. As you all know that ABO blood grouping means there are 4 blood groups A, B, AB and O in human body, which is mostly granted and accepted blood grouping mechanism. Here you see Kerr and Steiner in 1901 and 1902 discovered 2 types of antigens from the surface of RBC of human blood. Based on these antigens, blood is classified into 4 groups AB, AB and O. Do you know what is antigen and antibody and their relationship for blood grouping? Obviously, we know from the previous sections. When we were in class 10, we got to know the basic details about the antigens and antibody. Here you go, some sort of diagrams. You see, naturally in human body, on the wall of RBC, you see The yellow dotted portions are called antigens. There are two types of antigens found on the wall of RBC. Antigen A, you see there is another structure. Antigen B, when both are present, the antigens A and B here, and neither antigen or nor antigen B or A, nothing is found on the RBC. That means there is no antigen. Clear? When the blood contains antigen A is called A blood group, B blood group, here both, so AB blood group, and as there is no antigen, neither A nor B, this is called O blood group. In the contrary, in plasma of human body, there are sort of special sort of Y-shaped antibodies. As you know the structure of antibodies in the last chapter, chapter 10, that antibodies are Y-shaped mostly. So here when antigen A is found in any blood, okay, in contrast anti-B antibody is found. Anti-B antibody can be written as small b. Okay, when antigen B is found in any blood, in contrast anti-A antibody are found. When antigen both A and B are found in RBC of any blood, okay, then no antibodies are found, neither anti-A nor anti-B. And here when no antigen is found in any blood group, here you see there is no antibody, there is no antigens are found here, the both antibodies may be found out there. Okay, this is called type O. That means no antigen, O blood group, both antigens, AB blood group, only B antigen, B blood group, A antigen, A blood group. Clear? So I hope that you could understand, and you should practice at home following the table at your textbook. What is anti-antigen factors? Here is the diagram of B antigens out there on the wall of RBC. The anti-A antibodies may be found when these sort of antigens are found. Okay, this is the basic rule of any blood. The same antigen and same antibodies cannot be found in the same blood group. ABO blood grouping chart, as you all know that this is the chart A, B, AB and O. But the most striking feature out there is can donate blood to. Who one is the universal donor? Obviously you see O blood group is here, can donate to every blood group A, B, AB and O. That's why blood group O is called the universal donor. On the contrary, AB blood group can receive from every blood group. Okay, so this is called the universal receiver blood group. Rhesus factor, the next important topic. What is that? Yes, we know a bit about the previous class. However, let's go to the core discussion. So Rh factor, which is also known as the rhesus factor, it's a type of protein found on the outside of RBC. The protein is generally inherited, which can be passed down from one generation to another. If you have the protein, you are Rh positive. If you don't, you are Rh negative. That means other than A and B factors like antigens and antibodies, Dr. Karl Steiner found another factors which are responsible for the blood agglutination. Agglutination means blood clotting. What are the concepts? Here is another concept, that is Rh factor, which is called rhesus factor, is a type of protein found in the outside of the red blood cells. As you already know, as I told you, if you did not inherit the protein, you are Rh negative. But the majority people are Rh positive, that is 85%. In 1940, Landsteiner discovered another blood group associated to his fellow researchers, which are known as Rh. This discovery resulted from Landsteiner's studies with rhesus monkeys. On the basis of this monkey, that is rhesus monkey, the factors are called rhesus factors. Landsteiner and his colleagues found that when blood from monkeys was injected into rabbits and guinea pigs, it clotted. This was because of the presence of another antigen that the researchers had not classified before. Landsteiner called this antigen the Rh or rhesus factor. Researchers also showed that the factor occurs among some but not all humans. It is also inherited. What are the genetic explanations? According to Fisher, at least 3 pairs of pseudoalleles remain closely with each other. He proposed those pseudoalleles as rhesus genes or R gene, which can be denoted as capital C small c, these are the pairs, capital D small d, these are also the pair, and capital E and small e. That means in total C, D and E are the separate genes which are found in a non-allelic status, but they have a massive impact on the factor formation. Okay, the first point's explanation is the transfusion of mismatched blood, or when your patient needs the A blood group or B blood group or any blood group, when the donor is of another blood group, serious complications occur. If blood group A, as for example, is given to a person whose blood group is B, donor RBCs will be attacked by the antibodies, which are also called anti-agglutinin or agglutinin, which are already present in the recipient's blood. The donor RBCs agglutinate, forming a mass. The agglutinated RBCs can block small blood vessels and are liable for phagocytosis and hemolysis. Here you see the donor RBCs having A antigen, whereas the antibodies against the A antigens already found in the patient's body or receiver's body altogether make binds to each other, forming agglutination or clot. Finally, this clot, when travels toward the bloodstream, it creates a kind of blockage. As you see, this blockage obviously is harmful, seriously or life-threatening. What happens during pregnancy? In most of the cases, when RBC or rhesus factor which are positive are dominant. Rh factor positive is always dominant. If any gene which is dominant either of C, D or E, the individual would be obviously dominant or rhesus factor positive. So when father is positive and mother is negative, then the growing child would be obviously positive. So when this fetus or embryo grows up slowly or gradually, it starts sharing the blood with the mother, and mother also shares the blood with the baby. So as a conclusion, they take all sorts of nutrients from mother and expels the harmful excretory materials toward the mother blood. Then this is very normal to exchange the blood. As you see, the Rh negative blood group is there in the mother's body. So if any positive factors enter in the mother's bloodstream, the mother's blood will consider those positives as their enemy or antigens, and this blood will start to form the anti-Rh positive factors or anti-antigens. That means antibody. Okay. So Rh positive blood cells, when enters the mother's bloodstream, you see the diagram, then mother's blood forms anti-antigen or anti-Rh positive or anti the blood factors of the growing embryo. As a result, the blood gets ready in the mother's body against these sort of positive factors. At the first time, no problem occurs. However, during the second pregnancy, as the memory cells are already produced here in the mother's blood, these blood directly defend without having any time. The fetus dies or the embryo dies or miscarriage occurs. Due to the problems in rhesus factors during pregnancy, the very common disease occurs which is called erythroblastosis fetalis. What is that? This is the hemolytic anemia in the fetus caused by transplacental transmission of maternal antibodies to fetal red blood cells. That means this anemia occurs in the fetus's body. Okay, the disorder usually results from incompatibility between the maternal and fetal blood groups, often in Rho D antigens. So mostly the D antigens from CDE factors. D is the most common factor which is dominant over other dominant genes. What are the conditions or what happens? The condition involves a component of blood called Rh factor. Rh factor is an inherited protein found in the surface of blood cells. Not everyone has this protein though. If a person has the protein, they are positive, and if the person do not have this, are called negative. If a woman in Rh negative factors, the fetus is Rh positive, it can lead to the Rh incompatibility and potential complications in the pregnancy. Here is the diagram which is explaining the detail about the complexities of erythroblastosis fetalis. At first, what happens? Here the materials, the circulation occurs of all materials through the placenta, you see, and here the maternal circulation, maternal Rh negative RBC, fetal Rh positive RBC enters maternal circulation. Then what happens? The fetal Rh positive red blood cell is here. The second step, these positive means these positive factors are emerging inside the maternal bloodstream. Third phase is here. The maternal circulation is obviously here, then the gradually agglutination of fetal Rh positive red blood cells lead to HDN. So maternal anti-Rh antibodies cross the placenta. When it crosses the placenta, here the blood clotting occurs, inhibiting all sort of exchanges from mother to body, fetus's body, or vice versa. Here is the common diagram you may apply in your final exam too during answering the conditions, symptoms and others for erythroblastosis fetalis. As you see, this is the Rh positive fetus and this whole thing is the mother's bloodstream. What happens at first? The antigens enter to the mother's Rh negative blood, then antibody is formated against the Rh positive blood, then maternal circulation exerts to the fetal circulation once again along with the antibodies. Finally, at the junction, here is the bridge or disc-shaped organ which is called placenta and which is formed of mainly thousands of millions of blood vessels. Here the RBC gets clotted, okay, hindering the normal passage of the materials from mother's body to the fetus's body. Here you go, the homeworks. As you know all the details about these topics, I expect that you understood the class well. If any problem arises, please leave your problems in the homework group. Your homework is to analyze the complexities due to rhesus factor. Thank you very much.